Hello, everyone. My name is Shah, and I'm the marketing executive here at Bespoke. And today, Rachel, our technical consultant, will walk you through the process of centralizing your data through this live demo. Over to you, Rachel.
Thanks, Shah. Yes, Shah mentioned today in this webinar, we're going to be looking at centralizing data across your business and how you can bring that into one location. So we've got a particular example to demonstrate today. We've got a live demo to do as well of an application we built. And it's all really centered around how you can sort of capture information from a various number of places. Perhaps, you've got a team across the UK, globally even, or people working from home, and you're looking for a way to actually streamline that all so that it still sort of feels cohesive and that it's all coming back to perhaps the head office or a central person to manage. So we'll be diving into that today. So the tools that we're going to look at today to sort of support this process that we're going to be showing is the Microsoft Power Platform. For those of you who aren't aware, it's a suite of tools that has been developed by Microsoft to bring sort of automation, analytics, and AI capabilities to your business. So, in the past, if you wanted to look at automation, app development, you've had to go to sort of get bespoke software built, and that's all coded for you. And typically that's been quite time consuming, quite an expensive, exercise to be undertaking. But what the Power Platform's done is really sort of revolutionized that and given, small to medium-sized businesses through to sort of enterprise level, enterprise size businesses, the ability to actually quite quickly turn around some automation, analytics, and app development. The tools we're going to be looking at today in particular are Power Apps and Power Automate. So a tool that's available is Power Apps, which is the opportunity to build your own custom application that's all sort of branded to your business and sort of designed exactly how you need it to work. Power Automate is a tool that sort of works in the background and can be used on its own, but also to sort of work alongside Power Apps and the other tools. And what that does is streamline the process steps and the workflow that goes on in the background that perhaps we can't see. The other tools we're not going to cover today, but are really worth looking into. So there's Power BI, Copilot Studio, and Power Pages. We're going to do future webinars on those, so please join those in the future if you'd like to learn more on those. So some examples of business processes that can really benefit from automation are things around sort of compliance and health and safety. And today's demo is going to be looking at a particular health and safety process. But anything really around tracking, management, task management, generating contracts, invoicing, training analytics. These are all actually areas of the business that can really benefit from some automation and that are processes that are often actually quite time consuming and manual. So anything you've got there really around any slow processes you have, any processes that are prone to human error, where mistakes are made, or they're just sort of perhaps more manual, more boring in some cases, processes, those are ones to be tackling with automation.
With that in mind, then, what type of automation projects are popular right now across businesses?
Yeah, it's a great question. Thanks, Shah. It's actually it's really interesting, like how much variation there can be. So different industries and different companies, really, even in the same industries, they all come to us with sort of quite different problems to solve, which is sort of some of the benefits of the Power Platform is that it's really suitable to any business, any process. But a trend I think we've sort of noticed more recently is businesses taking information out of spreadsheets that they've perhaps relied on for too long, and then trying to find a way to actually move those into apps or Power BI reports. So I think the beauty of Microsoft Excel that it's really actually quite quick to spin up a new report or even to use it as a way to sort of track processes. And so we've seen quite like a proliferation over the last, say, 5-10 years of people using spreadsheets for almost everything. And it really served its purpose. It was easy to do. Sometimes it was the only option businesses had. But now, as businesses are scaling, we often see that becomes a bit of a problem for them. So the lack of sort of controls that they can put around it, how easy it is to edit it, and for people to just jump in there and change things is becoming a bit of a problem. So a lot of businesses are spending time moving stuff out of spreadsheets into apps, into Power BI reports, so that they can gain back that control. So yeah, thanks for the question, Shah. So there's a number of reasons that you would want to use automation and AI within your business. Some of them, quite obvious, the efficiency and the productivity gains that you can make. They're really, really quick wins. So I think the way we always look at it is you want your staff to be focused on the really high value activities. So the relationship building with clients and vendors and sort of, other people that they're interacting with. Also looking at ways that you can sort of get rid of those sort of really manual, boring tasks that staff are having to do that really aren't adding much value to the company. So perhaps where they're keying information from one tool to the other, copying and pasting things across tools from spreadsheet to spreadsheet, that's all sort of tasks that a computer can do really well, and that they're not sort of the key reasons you've employed your staff. You want them to be doing the high value activities. So the more time you can free up with automation for them to do that, the better. Accuracy is another key one. So, there are some processes that we can afford to make maybe, a few mistakes in them, but there are some that we just can't. And so computers can process things a lot more accurately than we can. And so where there's sort of risk for mistakes being made that are going to have a big impact, you want to be putting some automation in there. Client satisfaction is another big one, I think sometimes overlooked. Also employee satisfaction. So, a lot of the clients we work with, they expect things turned around a lot quicker these days and more accurately again. So employees as well, I think, expect a sort of higher level and a higher standard of the technology that's there for them to use. And so anything you can do to automate your processes is going to lead to a higher client satisfaction if things are done more quickly, done more accurately, and also are going to give employees more satisfaction as well overall. With all of these things, if you've got happier clients, you're more productive, you're getting things done more efficiently and more accurately, the profitability then, follows. So I think it's really important when you're looking at automation projects to actually think about, what the current process is costing you as a business, and then that quite quickly makes it easy to calculate how profitable, the return on investment on those projects. So then you can also then sort of see how the profitability is going to perform, over the years as you've implemented those automation projects. And all of this really is kind of leads to that competitive edge as well. So your competitors are probably going to be looking at this. AI is such a big topic at the moment that most businesses that we speak to are wanting to find ways to bring automation and AI into their business. So if you don't, your competitors probably will be. So it's something that I think businesses not just should look at, but kind of need to look at these days. So the particular example we're going to dive into today is all about streamlining vehicle inspections. So in this demonstration, we've got an app, actually 2 apps to show you, and some workflows that are associated with it. But the sort of background and behind the process is that I want you to imagine that there's a company with salespeople who are out across the UK. So they've all got company vehicles to get them to where they need to go. And of course, with drivers out on the road, they're really, really focused on making sure that those drivers are safe. So to ensure that they have monthly inspections where each driver goes around and checks their vehicle, things like, are the lights working? Have they got the relevant sort of safety equipment in there, like the first aid kit? Are there any scratches, dings? And also is the branding of the company branding on the vehicles looking good? So in this scenario, the company vehicles have all got, the company logo. They've got a really quite like bright and out there design, and it's quite a key part of their company's brand identity. So the company really wants to do what they can to make sure that the vehicles continue to look good. The process as is manual, it's paper-based. So they have a Word document that some staff print and some staff, fill out via the Word document. Which of course causes some troubles, as we all know, that happens with paper-based processes. It's quite inefficient. It's very reactive. It's quite hard to track who's done what and what actually needs actioning following the inspections. And really what's happening is that the administration person is swamped with work and having to get through it all. And of course, with that comes the odd mistake. Some things are missed. And that's really something when it comes to the health and safety of their staff that they can't afford to happen anymore. So as I sort of touched on a few of how the process works there, but to sort of dive into the current as-is process, which is something we actually like to do before we take on any automation project. We really need to have a good understanding of what is happening currently. So once a month, an email reminder is sent out. The staff members go and find the forms. So it's saved on SharePoint. Some staff have a few printed copies on their desk, or in the car in the glove box. Others have it saved to their OneDrive. So there's kind of a spread of these forms, which means that when they need to change it, perhaps update, add a new question, make those type of changes that we do. It's really hard then to actually go and make sure that it's rolled out across all those staff members. And so what we see is that previously the company has had, inspection forms come back and, there's 3 different versions circling around and it's causing problems. They either print or download the form, depending on whether they're using it on Word or a paper-based option. They complete the inspection, they attach and email that back, and also probably have to scan it as well, if they've printed it. The administrator goes through each and every single question on all of those forms and actually works out if something's needed, if there's an action required. Those actions are then taken, the final copies and sort of like auditing process there gets saved away, and the inspection's complete. Now, like any process, if everyone does it on time, and there's not much follow-up actions, then, it can go smoothly. But given the fact that we're dealing with, people that are out and about across the UK, the process was actually causing a few issues. Salespeople are really busy. They don't really want to be spending time, filling in papers, scanning it, messing around with all of that. So this company decided that actually they needed to streamline this as much as possible, make it easier for the administrator, but also make it easier for the staff when they're doing their inspections. We're going to jump into a demo now. So we've got a couple of apps to show you, and we'll sort of go through a live example of, what they would do if they were doing the inspection. Perfect. So hopefully that is loading for you. So here we've got an app that we've built to replace those paper-based forms. So you can see here we've made it in mobile view because in this scenario, the salespeople are out on the road. They're not carrying a laptop around while they're doing the inspection. They've all got phones that they can open the app on, and it just sort of made sense to do it that way. So we can see we've already got an ID code, so that's been pre-populated, so we can track and manage them quite easily. And today we're going to pretend, go through the list of staff we've got here and pretend we're James. So you can see already that the make, model, and registration of the car has pre-populated. And this is because we've captured all that in the back end and we can manage that. So if James gets assigned another car in the future, perhaps his goes to someone else or it gets sold, we can update that in the back end. Then anytime James comes in, he'll have the right details there for him. One thing you also could do is, because this is all built in the Microsoft, on the Microsoft suite, and if you're using Microsoft, you've also got each user's logged in while they're doing this. So you could also pre-populate the driver because you know who's logged into the app and are using their Microsoft account. So you could take that one step further to make it even quicker for the staff. So we're going to throw in some fake numbers, pretend we're doing this. And we've also sort of split it up into sections of the inspection so it's easy for the staff member. So they can sort of go around sort of like items and get those all done and move on to the next section. So we're going to go through and I'll just answer some of these questions pretending we've done them. So we're happy with things like the windows, mirrors, and lights. So we're going to mark that as good. The signage and branding, we're really happy with. As we mentioned, that's sort of a key part for this company. So we're happy that all the logos are showing the way they should and that nothing's sort of peeling or fading. We've checked the tires, they're good. We've entered in the depth and There's no issues with the sort of license plates or any scratches, dents, or damage. The horn, we've tested that, it's working. And when we've had a look, we've realized that actually the jack's missing. It's not there in the vehicle, so we're going to mark that as poor. Everything else we're happy with, we've gone through thoroughly. First aid kit we'll mark as good. There's a couple of things missing that we've used. They're getting a bit lower, but we've still got everything we need there, and it's still available for us to use. Hazards are working. Indicators, we've tested them all. They're all working. We've got a section here to add in some more text for sort of the questions that we need more details on. So if, for example, there's an unexpected noise or vibration, we want to actually learn from the drivers, okay, where's that happening? Capture as much information so that then when we get that repaired, we can pass it on. In the scenario, we're happy, we're good to go, we'll keep going. We then have an option to add photos. So if I was on my mobile phone completing this, I could use the camera on my phone, snap some pictures to actually sort of associate those with the different questions and maybe things we've marked as failed or as wrong. You can also, if you've already taken some pictures, attach those, and we're on desktop and we even could attach those from here. The scenario, obviously, we don't have a vehicle in front of us, so we'll keep moving on. And overall, we're going to mark that as failed because of the jack. Now, you could take it one step further, and if we've marked any of those questions as poor as I did for the jack, you could have it automatically fail, something you could look at. And then we'll pass comments on to the administrator so that they know what to do and why we've marked it as failed. So the jack is missing, might need to top up the first aid kit in a few months, just so they're aware. Any type of comments that you can pass on. And if you can imagine, this is things that, you know, if you were in an office with someone, you just let them know, perhaps as you're walking past your desk. But our salespeople are out driving on the road all the time. They're going from client to client. So this is a good chance to just make sure it goes there and not have to sort of like give them a call and tell them what's going on. We've got the option to add a signature. So I'll just do a dummy one there. You might not need to include that, but just to show you that that's available, and we'll submit that. So you can see here, coming back to the list, that my inspection of James Smith has failed, and we can see the other ones there as well. For your company, you actually might want to filter this list down. So James Smith, for example, could only see his previous inspections and not the rest of the companies. Up to you, but that's the type of thing that you can be doing. I'll now move over to an admin app we've built. So a way for the administrators to actually manage all of these inspections and the actions that need to be done. So what I'd also like to show you first is previously, as we mentioned, they were getting emailed through to the administrator to have to manage. What we've done this time is actually sent an automated chat flow to the administrator, in this case it's me, letting them know that an inspection's been completed by James for the particular vehicle, and that actually the vehicle has failed and why. So before we were having to go through all those forms and look and kind of pick out where it had failed, whereas now the administrator gets told straight away. So cool, it's the jack, I can get onto that. So we've sent this in a Teams message, but you may like to send it in a text, you may like to send it in an email, you may like to send it in Teams like we have, or perhaps an email and Teams. You know, every sort of company is different, but also every user and every staff member within a company likes things in different ways, we find. So you can actually do it so that it benefits, you know, all those different styles. So you can see here, we'll just refresh this one now that we've done our thing. So we've built this app for the administrator to actually manage those changes that are required, to see what's going on with the inspections, and also to manage the vehicles. So the administrator works in an office, sometimes from home, so we built this in the desktop sort of view because it made sense for that person. So you can see we've got 7 inspections completed. We've got 58% of all the staff that need to do inspections have done them. Quite a quick way to sort of see what needs following up. 4 passes, 3 fails there. And so we've got a list here of what has been going on. We can dive into those inspections. And you will see here as well, if I move over, that we've got a sort of hub to actually manage the vehicles. So vehicles may need to be reassigned. We've got some unassigned, for example, at the moment that don't have drivers. So the administrator can come in and say, we've got 12 vehicles, 9 of which are assigned, 3 vehicles are unassigned, and they can come through and see who's got what and actually move those around. They can also create new vehicles if they were to sort of lease or purchase more vehicles, and that can all be done from sort of a central spot, so they've got a place to go. So that comes to the end of the sort of live demo. So I'll just, I will jump back over to the slides, and we will continue on from there.
With that in mind as well, Rachel, how can this process be tailored for a company with multiple branches to manage inspections at the branch level?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good point. So in this scenario, we've got staff, salespeople out on the road, and it's all going back to one branch. But there's probably times where you might have multiple branches across the UK, across globally, and you might want each of those branches to manage their own vehicles. So that's the type of thing that can absolutely be tailored to sort of suit your vehicle, your company, sorry. And so what we would do there is have some way of sort of assigning salespeople to a particular administrator. So there might be sort of 4 administrators across 4 branches, and we want salesperson 1 and 2 to report to the first administrator, that type of thing. So we might build that, within the app so that administrator can pick and choose salespeople per administrator, or even you might use things like Entra ID, which is formerly Azure AD, and actually map some of that out there based on the branches and sort of fields you can fill out in Entra ID. So yeah, it's all really customizable, which is the beauty of it really, is that you can build something that actually works for how you work and not sort of how it's assumed you work. So when we kind of take a look at the changes to the process, so previously, we had a number of steps there. You can see we've already reduced that. So we can send automated reminders instead of someone emailing everyone to tell them to do the inspection. The staff then open the app on the phone. They complete the inspection on the phone via that Power app. We're automatically notifying when actions are required, which leaves the administrator more time to actually spend time taking the necessary actions to getting things repaired. And then the inspection's complete. They're not having to file that final copy anymore either, because we have a whole app where we can go back and view the old records, and underpinning that is sort of like a database where that's all stored, so that perhaps if they're audited in the future, maybe there's a health and safety type of audit, they've got all that data there, they know it's there. But also if they just need to look back through sort of old records, they've got that really easily available and sort of easy to consume. So where we've stripped back a few steps, we've got rid of a lot of steps there, so it's easier, but also we've improved a lot of the steps too. So we've made it easier within those steps. So I think this was quite a really successful process really, and a really good use case for these type of tools. And really just to touch on that, like there's a number of processes in your business probably that maybe paper-based still, but even if they're not paper-based, they're perhaps, really dependent on Microsoft Word, on Excel, or maybe on sort of other pieces of software that are just a bit outdated, a bit clunky, or, often actually we see businesses using pieces of software and they only use about 30% of it to do what they need to do, but they're paying for the full 100%. So hopefully today we've showed you some really good use cases of how you can actually take things like Power Apps, Power Automate, and the whole Power Platform, and streamline those processes and actually make them work for how you need them to work.
Could other similar processes benefit from this type of automation then?
Yeah, absolutely. So, this is more of a health and safety processes, but other health and safety processes like perhaps incident and accident logging, that's important for any business, but there are some businesses like, construction, engineering, anything really where you're on a sort of a risky site. It's really important to capture if something happens. We hope that it doesn't, but sometimes these things happen. So you could sort of tailor this type of app where You could be filling in an inspection form, and that could automatically alert the health and safety team, for example. The health and safety team could have their own app to sort of manage and make sure all of those actions are sort of dealt with, and that the proper sort of steps have been put in place to prevent it from happening again. You could even do things like, based on the severity of those incidents, like automatically notify the senior leadership team, for example. So that's the health and safety example. But again, anything where you're filling in forms, so perhaps you might be sending out forms to your clients to fill in, whether that's sort of like an onboarding form or just a way of capturing any other sort of specific data you need from them. Doing that via apps or perhaps portals or things like that. It's just a lot of it, a better way to do it, really. It looks better, and it's a lot easier to manage. So yeah, it's a great question. Thank you, Shah.
No worries. Thanks so much for that, Rachel, and we will see you all next time.